My passion is working on my car. Now, you may think, what's the complexity to this? Literally anything. You could do anything to work on your car, from taking a piece of sandpaper and rubbing it against the edge of your car if it has rust, because that's how you do it if you want to save money, because I'm also very cheap. So, I bought this car. I bought a 1966 Ford F-250 in 2016. I've been working on it ever since. One of the first projects was probably one of the easiest, which was get the old bench out because it was super ratty and like the cushions were just destroyed. Now, you may be thinking, oh Ray, wouldn't that cost a lot of money? How did you replace the bench? Well, the mechanic I got it from, he gave me seats that were for free because they were sitting in his attic, and then I just bolted them in with Ace Hardware washers and bolts. It's street legal, probably. So, but how much did that cost me to do? Like $5, and also like 2 weekends of labor. But a lot of people today think that working on a car costs a lot of money and that the pieces cost a ton of money, but that's because you guys usually tend to go to a dealership or a mechanic, and also you drive usually newer cars. And newer cars are way more difficult to get into because a Ford Escape from 2014, they keep the batteries. So here's the engine bay. Here is basically what you get when you open the hood, right? A very simple trapezoid. Now, so you think my car has a battery right here, right there. You get negative right here, positive right here, alternator, and then the ignition all over there, you know. No, you don't know, I guess. But, but what's hard for the Ford Escape, because these cars are getting newer and newer, the battery, this is the wheel right here. The battery is right here in this general area. How do you reach that? You have to take it to the dealership. So some of these cars are obviously discounted from what I do. A car like a Mini Cooper, for example, though, you can still reach it because the battery is right here, but it's way more complex. You just have to know the method into doing things. For example, a brake line. I had to replace my brake line recently. Not exactly replace it, but I had to get the master cylinder. The master cylinder is basically when you put your foot on the brake pedal, it plunges into it. There's a plunger, and it plunges into the master cylinder, which causes pressure to increase in your brake line, and that's what stops your wheels. You guys have a hydraulic system where it's way better than mine, which you call power brakes, where there's a fluid that increases the pressure exponentially better. But the point I'm trying to get across is that you just need to know the method. You have to, if your brake line breaks or if something busts in your master cylinder, all you have to do is get a new master cylinder. How do you get a new master cylinder? Well, Ray, that's a good question. Get a catalog. You go online, you buy the piece, you go on the manufacturer's website, you see if they sell any of these pieces. Now, LMC, which is the Long Motor Corporation, they have catalogs for trucks from 1948 to 2014, I believe. 2014, yeah. And you go through, and it has basically every single piece you need. Like, if I can find the brake line system, I have something circled on that page. And then you go on their website, and you just type in the number you need, and they send it to you. I bought the master cylinder for $60. Compared to the amount of labor you'd have to pay for in a mechanic's shop, that's a pretty good deal. You guys can pass this around if you want to just see all the stuff you can get. You can get from interior work to anything. I replaced the carpeting, the ceiling. I've replaced every single piece I've done. I've gotten either on LMC, so it's really easy. I've saved so much money. You learn a lot when you also work on the car. You learn so much. I didn't know how the heck what the pistons were. I didn't even know the basics of the engine. I learned the 4-stroke cycle. Yeah, and it basically, because I had to get my spark plugs redone because one of them were misfiring. The spark plug is basically the most important piece in that, where it lets in air and fuel, and then it closes off. The spark plug fires, and it pushes the piston up, and it basically powers the whole motor. That's how you get exhaust out of that. So the spark plug, those I didn't know what to do. You just have to find them. They're cheap. You just look online, you reference, always get a good deal. These are fuses. These cost $3. You need fuses. These cost These cost $3. These were possibly the most difficult thing, but the easiest thing to find that I couldn't find. Because cars today, they change. I found these in a Napa parts store. I had to go to 3 different Napas. These are fuses are possibly one of the easiest pieces to find in a car and to replace if you have a car that's newer than 2000. Pass these around if you want. Don't eat them, they're not Tic Tacs. Now, other things, what was the most worrying thing I've ever done is my battery got busted. I don't know how, but when I was in an incline, my car broke. It just died. So obviously what you have to do is you have to back up into a curb if you're in an incline so you don't get in the way of other cars. The problem is if you have really good suspension in your car, then you go over the curb, so you stop in grass. That's what happened to me, but it stopped. Then you have to troubleshoot. I looked in the hood, you see a lot of stuff is smoking. A lot of mechanics, they don't charge you to talk to them, so you talk to a mechanic. You call them up or you talk to them and you explain what your condition is, what happened. Then, what I did, me and my dad, we fought, and then I bought a new battery, which was the obvious choice, is the most simple, easy fix to do, because the battery is right there, right in front, and you can buy them at AutoZone, O'Reilly. Walmart even has them, I think. You can buy them anywhere, Amazon, stuff like that. I bought one. They're generally kind of cheap. They're still burn a hole in your pocket, about $100. Replace it. Car don't start still. So, jump started it. Didn't start anyway. So I found out there's something called a solenoid. And in my car, it's right there. Let me get a marker to mark this. Solenoid goes here. So the positive goes to the solenoid, the negative goes to an alternator. Then that still didn't work. So my pieces in my engine are getting more and more chrome and new. So that's also good though, because cars are really reliable. Most cars are. My car is exceedingly reliable. I get told that it's not, but these pieces before lasted 50 years. If you replace and maintain the pieces you have in your car, they last for a long time, or as long as you keep them and want them to work well. Now, solenoid didn't end up working anyway. So there's a thing right here. That's called a voltage regulator. That is extremely important to the battery because what happens is when your car is on, there's an alternator, and an alternator spins, basically creating electricity along with, it's connected to a belt, the fan belt, usually. And that creates electricity while your car is running, and it shoots it over to the voltage regulator, which regulates voltage. And without this, the car battery dies because the car battery is not getting any electricity back. So basically, we're just using a legitimate battery, and then if we didn't have any of this, we'd be replacing batteries like every 2 days, like an actual battery running a car, instead of having it in a system where it charges itself. Now, spare tires are pretty simple. Who doesn't? Okay. Who's ever worked on their car in any way possible? Replacing a headlight. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. Yeah, so what kind of tools do you usually need to use? Any hands? Okay, so basic tools. Do you guys have a dad at home? Do you guys have any sort of garage? Do you guys have any sort of workstation or garage in general? Okay, so basically you need the simplest tools do the simplest and easiest jobs, or any job. Wrenches. You You guys have wrenches, right? Screwdrivers. You guys have screwdrivers. Yeah. You guys have hammers. Don't really need a hammer for any such thing, but hammers, you need to buff something out. There you go. Do you guys know what buffing out is? Okay, good. Got a weird look. I don't like that. Okay, now, a lot of cars today, they used to be made mostly in America. My car is made in America. I use strictly 3/8, half inch, and usually 9/16 for my measurements. Those are imperial. A lot of you guys drive Japanese cars or German cars and such. Mercedes, Benz, all those fancy cars. Those are usually in metric, millimeters mostly. Never really go into meters because that's psycho crazy. Now, it's always good to have 2 sets of wrenches. I have my own set, and then I have my dad's set because you have ratchet wrenches and you have normal wrenches. I usually have to use normal wrenches because you're always on the ground. But if you're trying to angle something and you need 2 grips of the same kind, where I believe I was trying to tighten something on my steering column and then I had to reach underneath the dashboard. Those bolts were the same size and I only had 1/2 inch wrench. So that's rough when you only have 1 set of wrenches. So you need 2 sets. It's great. All that jazz. Can you pull up the website? You gotta go out? You got this.
Just a quick little boom boom. There you go.
We did it.
A little too high, but it's all right.
Just take what you can get, bro.
Yeah.
Give us one of the outside lights, please. The right one there. Nice. Why don't you pull it down a little more? Just a quick little tug. Tug and let go. We'll try it again.
All right, yeah. So.
Ready for help? Hold it.
Hey!
Okay. Click on the video. So this is also like a basic rundown of like stuff to get or like stuff to have. Now, oh no. Basic stuff. I'm gonna go stand in the corner over here so I don't block the light. Oh, it's
Gloves. They fit like a glove. Now, these get a Home Depot. Use hardware. Get gloves anywhere. Doesn't matter. Just get them. Unless you're like old school, like having grease on your hands for 5 days straight until you can wash them off. I use reusable gloves. I like them. They cost like $10. A lot of people use nitrile gloves, latex, basically the same thing. They're just use them once, throw them out. Now these cost $5, $10. I probably should switch to them soon enough. These are stained in brake oil, which are not good to get on your hands. But I like these because they have like a grip on their palms. They're great for trying to get a bolt underneath the truck or a car. You drop it, get them, it grips. It's great. It's great. It's so good. It's wow. These are great gloves, man. I love gloves. They're so good. Own zip ties, lifesavers. By lifesavers, I mean, hey, they're okay. You know, you've got wires that are just messy, ratty around. These are usually for older cars. Just you're done. When you get zip ties, just secure it out of the way. Cable ties, zip ties. You get them anywhere. Ace Hardware probably has them. Home Depot has them. Walmart has them. Target probably has them. Amazon, you can get literally anything on Amazon. Anything. Just have these around. It's always going to have them around if you ever do casual working on your car. Anything. It's great to have. Just suspend something. it out of the way, all that jazz. Great. Tools. Why? That's mine. I love a set of wrenches. Those are great. You know, millimeters, inches, you know, awesome. My car is specifically American. It was made in America with American steel, all that jazz. So it's all in Imperial. So I always have a set of Imperial, that's great. I have a set of metric just in case, you know. You might need a knife too, doing it in interior work. If you want to redo your carpet or your ceiling, you might need a knife to cut it. I don't recommend it, but you know, you never know. You might need it. Now basic stuff, this is a dent puller. It works on plastic, which is not what I knew coming into buying this thing. Because my car is completely metal, so it doesn't work. But plastic, you can use a plunger. If you get a dent in your car, use a plunger, pull that bad boy out, you're done. Use this bad boy, you know, suction cup dent puller, you're good. You just put it on, pull it out, you're done. Read the instructions though, because don't quote me on that, please. Recently just finished up some brake line stuff, so if you ever do a brake line, I'll keep you in my prayers. This is a line cutter, like a steel pipe cutter. This, you adjust it with this right here, this knob, and you basically just spin it around, because there's a metal little slicing device here, and these, I don't know what to call these little doohickeys, but they roll, you know, and you just roll it around the pipe, and it'll eventually cut through, because if you use scissors or clamps or anything like that, they will crush the pipe, and it'll just be a pain, because with brake lines you want a complete perfect seal. Don't want any loss of pressure. Well, maybe not obvious, but you're going to be doing a lot of work at night if you buy a crappy old car that is not reliable, and you do know how to work on it. You're going to need a light. This is a great light. Again, you can get lights, flashlights anywhere. This, you can hang it off of something, hold it, prop it up against something. That's great. Hit it once, it's a light. Hit it twice, it's a dim light. Hit it 3 times, you got a rave. It's great. It's so great. If you ever want to check your tire tread for new tires, because that happens when you drive them so much, use a penny. Check them. Put the penny in the treading, head first down. Abe Lincoln goes down just like in that theater. And let's say in between the treads, of course, they say that's good. If you can see Abe Lincoln's head put in the treading, that's not good. You should probably get new tires.
Nice job. Hey, you got 2 minutes. Stand, stretch. You gotta go to the restroom. Go quickly.
Hey, get Ray's stuff back.